Hello, I'm Ali Thornton. I'm a lecturer in media production at Leeds Trinity University. I am here for your next session for Journalism and Media Week with Charlotte Bruce from Daisybeck Productions. I just want to remind you that we are live on YouTube and Facebook. If you have any questions that you want to, yes, best behaviour, Charlotte. If you have any questions you want to ask Charlotte, just pop them in the comments box of YouTube and Facebook as we go, and we'll get to them and hopefully answer those for you, if not during, but by the end. So I've got a little clip to play. This comes with a small health warning because of the the animal nature of the Yorkshire Vet, which is the programme Charlotte works on the most. There are some mildly graphic scenes of animal surgery and other gross things in this next clip. So if you are squeamish, I would say look away now and forgive us later. But I will get that queued up for us now.
The world's most famous vet, James Herriot, adored North Yorkshire. And the animals. Woof, woof. Hello. Salima got out.
This is Fiver. She was called Fiver as obviously she has an extra leg.
It doesn't look like drugs.
This one will sting Mrs. Green.
I'd never met you sore ass.
You would. Many, many verbal sparring sessions with Mrs. Green.
Are you cruising for a bruise?
Look, be kind to me. Somebody's coming to inspect your willy. Didn't expect that on a Friday afternoon, did you?
Wow. Piece of cake. Piece of cake.
There you go. That's I hope Yorkshire Vet in a nutshell.
I howl every time I watch that because I just think what an amazing and disgusting show that I work on.
It is. I would describe it in both those ways. Have you always wanted to work on such an amazing and disgusting show?
To be honest, I never thought that I would do a type of show like this. I always got taught never to work with animals or children, and I've worked with both, so yeah.
All right. So what is it like working on the Yorkshire Vet then? What is it actually like for those who've never worked on a show before?
Oh, that's working on the
Like
Yorkshire Vet. Working on the Yorkshire Vet is amazing, especially from my side. I am obviously in the production side, which is the logistics of filming. I'm not actually out with the guys most of the time. Sometimes I am, but it completely depends. But most of the time I am in the office sorting out the logistics, so I will get starring out emails like smeg penis for Monday or whatever. That's just my typical week and emails consist of, to be honest. But yeah, we just sort the logistics of filming out, and those guys do all the editorial, all the creativity stuff, and we just kind of make that happen. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah, it does. So what are the best bits and what are the hardest bits of your job then?
I think the best bits of being in production is obviously, I mean, without your name being on the TV and that you contribute to such an amazing show that thousands, millions of people watch every week. I think the best bits are having the opportunity to go on location, to go places like London with the filming crew and feel like you're genuinely part of something amazing. I think my best bit is being part of such an amazing, talented team, and that team solely relying on me, if that makes sense. Without
That's lovely.
production, the show can't really work. I mean, yeah, you've got your editorial and your creativity, but we sort out all the things that you need to make it come whole together. So I've got so many people relying on me to do my job to make sure the channel is happy with the delivery of the program, and certain things are blurred and people have consent. And if no one did that, we wouldn't be able to have the show on TV like we do now.
Yeah. So a few students watching, or maybe more than a few students watching, won't have done a job like yours before and won't have maybe worked in a TV company before, production company. How does that fit together with a channel and then yourselves? How does that actually work? Could you just explain how it fits together?
So Daisybeck is an independent production company. So we make TV shows for different channels. It's mainly Channel 5, but we've made shows previously for Channel 4, ITV. So we go to the channels with ideas, commissions that we can make for that certain channel. They then greenlight it, and with our in-house team, we then create the show for them and deliver straight to the channel. When we deliver to the channel, it completely signs over the rights. So that's kind of how Daisybeck and an independent company works, because I didn't know that information.
I think there are a lot of people maybe starting out in third year who aren't really sure about that, or maybe it comes as a surprise when they get there, because we don't really think about it when we switch the TV on. It's just there and it's nice and it's cute, or it's great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing you mentioned that I wanted you to talk about is you've mentioned these two sort of branches of the production process. So you've got your editorial track and you've got your production and your officey stuff. So could you explain a bit more for students who wouldn't know what that means, or anyone else who wouldn't know what that means, what that is, how does it fit?
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't know this when I first started in the TV industry, if I'm completely honest. But we have a production and an editorial kind of route. I'm in the production route at the moment, and that's just something that is more tailored to my personality, job wise. What I kind of did at uni, what jobs I kind of fell into. So the production route, I'll just say example on the Yorkshire Vet. This differs on certain shows, but mainly this is kind of the bracket of what it would be. So your production at the bottom, you start off as a production secretary. That's what I started off as on Springtime. So that's kind of your entry level job in production. Your production secretary normally helps out with travel and accommodation, documents, assisting your coordinator, doing scripts, transcribing, doing consent checks, fact checking, stuff like that. Then the job above that is production coordinator, which is what I am. So I was the secretary on a different show, Springtime. Then I went on as a secretary to the Yorkshire Vet. I then was promoted to production coordinator on the same show. So I deal with filming permission. I help with licensing of music, post-production paperwork, which is also something that a secretary would do. It just kind of levels up a little bit of more what your secretary would do. So I would feed jobs through to my secretary, but mainly deal with permission, licensing, delivery to channel, eyeballing, making sure that everything's okay with the team, sorting out like location officers, making sure that the team are happy, sorting out expenses. I kind of dabble in the cost manager, but that's something that the cost manager is something that the production manager, which is the step up again from me, they would deal with the cost manager, logistics of filming, health and safety, insurance, all kind of stuff like that, medicals for talent. They're across that whole kind of bracket of insurance and stuff like that, and making sure that everyone's safe to film. So in the production route, it's those kind of 3 tiers, I would say. Obviously, you can have junior production coordinator, junior production manager, but they're your 3 main tiers. And then your editorial side is more entries starting off as a runner. Possibly you can also start off a runner and go into the production route. That's completely normal to do so. But most editorials start off as a runner, so runner on any show. Normally live shows where they need a couple more helping hands. And then from that you go to researcher, so you're researching different types of, say, stories that would possibly be in your show. Obviously, as on the Yorkshire Vet as a veterinary practice, we normally have the stories already in there because we're just following the vets. However, on different shows where you'll need to find crazy people, or so for springtime we needed to find like a pig farmer. So the researchers went all over social media, put out ads, whatever, for pig farmers. From research, you go up to associate producer, so you're an AP, and that's just kind of like, for the Yorkshire Vet standard, that's them sorting out the shoots with the PD. So they would go and attend the shoots with the PD. The PD is the cameraman, but the AP would get in contact with the people that were filming with, set up times, dates, all that kind of stuff. And then obviously from an AP, it's PD, so your cameraman, and then you can go up to producer, series producer, exec producer, so on and so forth. So they're completely different strands. I'd say one's very more creative and the other one's very more logistical, but they both work amazingly together and they both really depend on one another.
Oh, so not a lot then.
I know, hardly anything really.
So what's a typical week like for you then? I know it might be different at the moment, but if you were to name like the main tasks you would do in a week, what does that look like? Are you in the office? Are you out and about doing stuff? What's it like?
I'm 100% an office bird. That's what my daily. That's my daily.
I'm gonna get you on a t-shirt.
I'm an office bird. Yeah, no, it's very much office based with production. It's very much having to call people, email out people, make sure the team are happy whilst they're going out on location and doing all the filming. It's the logistics of getting the footage that they filmed back to the office for us and stuff like that. I'd say my daily week at the moment, we're on channel at the minute, so my daily week at the moment would be different to, say, 6 weeks time when we go off the air. But if I was just doing it for this week, I'd have to send stills to the channel because we're 3 episodes ahead of TX, so that means the work that we're doing on at the moment is for in 3 episodes time, so we're 3 weeks ahead. So I'd have to send the stills to the channel, the synopsis for the channel. I'd probably have to do people's expenses, any filming permissions. I'd have to do post-production paperwork for the episode that's just gone out on the Tuesday. We have to then do all the master checks for the episode that's going out for the next week. So we need to make sure all the blurs are in check. We need to make sure we've got all the consents in place, and if not, we need to chase them. We need to make sure we've got a script in place because the channel need a script with delivery. So it's kind of just making sure everything's in place so the channel can have the episode in time for delivery, because it's all about deadlines, and we need to make sure that we make them every week.
Cool. It sounds like you talk to a lot of different people, and that you're maybe just in touch with a million and one people all at once, and you must get to know some of those people really, really well, especially if you're talking to contributors and emailing people out and organising things.
Yeah, it's to be honest, I can't believe how much fits in my brain with stuff like that. I think it's so weird because I've been working on the Yorkshire Vet since series 9, the back end of series 8. So it's crazy if there's anything series onwards, like photos of people or whatever, and they're like, who is this person? And I'm just like, oh, I know, this is what happened. This is what happened to their animal. This is what animal they had. This is the person. And it's just like knowledge in I don't really know. I must have layers of my brain for this kind of information. It's all stacked in there for when someone needs to know who this person is.
It's a good skill to have, though, and I would imagine if you're at uni and you're trying to sort of think where you might want to be in a few years' time and what job you might want to do, if you've got one of those brains where you can just retain people and faces and random facts, then that's probably your sort of job, is probably what you'd want to aim for.
I would definitely say so. I think you need to have really good organisation skills to be in my job. You need to have kind of a logistical brain. You need to kind of work things out in your head quicker than anyone else, because then you're going to have too many cooks in the kitchen. Everyone says how to do things and you've already worked out in your brain, and you can just be like, no, this is what's going to happen. You do need to have one of them brains where you can restore a lot of information.
I'm going to pick some of that information out now. Can you give us some of your favourite anecdotes from working? So if we talk about Yorkshire Vet, can you tell us some of your favourite animals or favourite people?
Right, okay. So my favourite people are Mr. and Mrs. Green, Stephen G.
They're great.
Yeah, I went to London with them twice, which was an absolute experience and a half. Steve is now over 90 years old. He'd never been there before. So he was just amazed with how many people were crossing over the road. And there's me trying to get everyone in a taxi while he's staring at all the people trying to get over the road. And yeah, so they're definitely two of my favourites. I still really don't understand Jean to this day, even when I'm next to her, because she's the most Yorkshire person I have ever met in my life. And I'm very Yorkshire anyway, and I don't really understand her anyway. But they're definitely two of my favourites. Jackie Barlow with the alpacas. My favourite ever Yorkshire Vet scene is when that baby alpaca falls over, and it's so horrible
I've watched it so many times, and I feel like I've got the noise stuck in my head forever now.
Same, it doesn't leave.
Oh, it makes me want to cry. There's nothing like seeing a baby alpaca go face first into a load of hay.
And whoever thought that's what you'd be looking at, but here we are.
I know there are a lot of things in that first video that I don't think any of us ever thought we would be looking at. But that's one thing that I've noticed, and I love Yorkshire Vet, and I visited you guys at Daisybeck before, and I've been lucky enough to sit in the edit suites and see some of these things firsthand, and the amount of weird stuff that comes through those edits, it's absolutely amazing. On that first visit, I think I saw a cow cesarean so many times. By the end, I think I could perform one.
I definitely have said this. Like, I think if I ever had a boy dog, I could definitely perform a castration. I've seen that many. 100%.
You've got a girl dog, haven't you? That's probably a mess.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe leave it to a licensed vet.
Yeah.
Will you tell us about Fiverr? There's that amazing little lamb with 5 legs.
Yeah, so we filmed with Fiverr for an Easter kind of one-off special, because it was such a weird thing to have ever happened. And it was just this farmer had a lamb, and it was like sticking out of its chest, and it's the weirdest thing ever still to this day. And they just had to remove the 5th leg. But I didn't even know lambs could be born with 5 legs, to be honest.
No, I didn't. And
until I saw that.
They said something about it's in the womb, isn't it? Because you have twin lambs or something, and
yeah,
two become one sometimes, I think. That's how you get a lamb. To put it nicely, I think that's how you get a lamb with 5 legs. But is she all right now? She's
absolutely fine. I mean, to be honest, it was very much touch and go. Like it was a crazy time and a crazy operation, but she's absolutely fine.
Right. So are there any crazy stories that are coming up at the moment that you can tell us about, or anything really cute that we ought to be looking out for?
Oh, that's a good question. We have got let me think. We've got 4 more episodes left in this series. I've got some very, very cute animals. We've got a lovely James Herriot 50th reunion because it was
Oh, nice.
50 years since he wrote the book. So we got Steve and Jean and the Nicholsons and the Donaldsons and Peter and James Herriot's son and daughter all together, and I think my hand might be in there as
Your
well. Yeah, picking up a glass of Prosecco.
I wouldn't expect anything less from you. Does that count as a cameo appearance? Do you have to sign a consent form for your hand?
I would say so, yeah. Maybe just because I want to sign one though.
All right. So, oh, sorry, I just want to make sure I've covered all of the cute animals first. All right, so let's talk about you obviously went to Leeds Trinity Uni and graduated. How long ago did you graduate? A few years, three-ish years ago.
Yeah.
So in that short space of time, you've made a lot of progress and you've done really well. You've gone up this sort of ladder really, really quickly. Obviously, that means you have a lot of valuable skills and useful ones. How many of those do you think you got from Leeds Trinity? And if they are, what are they?
I gained so much from my time at Leeds Trinity that got me to where I am certainly today. I think it definitely, being at Leeds Trinity, it definitely cemented where I'm about to go within the industry. I kind of always got tailored into organising stuff, doing call sheets, risk assessments, stuff like that when we were doing our certain projects.
I remember.
Obviously, when I was at uni, I didn't really understand what kind of job role that would entail or where I would kind of fit into the industry. And it was obviously I had my time with Trinity Vision, which again was really eye-opening, and I think that allowed me to understand the different job roles so much better. And that really kind of also meant that I wanted to get into the industry, just being in that team and doing the different jobs and kind of figuring out where I wanted to go. I think Leeds Trinity also definitely taught me how to be super, super organised, hit deadlines, hit important deadlines, and definitely figure out what was important to do that day or not. Having a to-do list is major. I have about 5. I have a to-do list today, to-do list for the week, to-do list for the month. But that's the best way to be because you never ever miss anything going through the net. I think I wouldn't be where I am now without Leeds Trinity, and definitely getting the connections through like networking and stuff like that at Trinity. That's definitely helped me. It's so important. Any advice I'd give anyone, it would definitely be to network to your heart's content, go to everything and anything that you can, because you never know who's going to be there, and you never know who's going to, if they see a sparkle in you never know who's going to pick you up.
Oh yeah, that's lovely advice.
Give you first step in the door.
So is that what happened for you? Is that how you sort of got into Daisybeck and what you're doing now?
I got into Daisybeck through my friend who also at Leeds Trinity, and she basically found the job opportunity. She was just like cold calling about and seeing different Facebook groups have different options, like they have different groups where it's like people that want to get into TV stuff like that. I would definitely suggest to anyone that wants to get into TV to join as many of these groups as you can, especially trying to find work in TV, because they have like runner jobs and entry level jobs that you don't need the experience to get into. But I got mine through my friend networking who suggested me. I'd just finished a master's degree and I was ready to come into the industry, and she was like, there's a production secretary job coming available. She gave them my CV, and I went into an interview with them and they really liked me, and then I've not left since. It's been 2 years.
How could they not? I mean, you're brill, so there you go. I think that sounds like you met the right people, the right moment, and you had the right skills, And it's like a magic
Yeah,
magic
absolutely.
combination, magic recipe, isn't it? So
Mhm.
we've had some questions from viewers. Should we see what they are?
Okay.
So Abby Middleton says, are there many photography opportunities in the industry? That's a good one, in the TV industry specifically.
Yeah, I would say definitely. I mean, speaking from the Yorkshire Vet experience that we've had, we had to hire photographers to take our publicity stills that are sent to the channel. So people are always looking for photographers for especially that instant, because the channel need to obviously market and publicise their programmes, so they need good photos to do that. Obviously with COVID we've not managed to have any stills, but still in the future definitely there's a lot of photography stills out there in the TV industry.
And how do you source those? Do you go to people directly? How would somebody be a photographer for those purposes then?
So I think if I was trying to be a photographer in the TV industry, something that I'd definitely do is I'd start cold calling different indies, especially to start with, or emailing out your CV, saying that you're a photographer and you're looking at getting into the TV industry, and if they need any stills for whichever shows, then to get in contact with them. It's the best way to get your CV on their records, because if they need a photographer in the instance, they'll be like, oh well, we had a CV through a couple of months ago, let me find it. And then that's kind of how it works. So I would always start with that. I'd put your CV everywhere. I'd join the Facebook groups, put your CV out there. You never know who's scrolling through them, who can pick it up and be like, yeah, we do need a photographer actually. This works out really well.
Nice. All right. Thanks, Abby, for that question. If anyone's got more questions you want to add, we'll go through them all. So just pop them in the little box. We could chat all day. Mark Willett, there's a familiar name. He would like to know, how did your degree prepare you for your first role at Daisybeck? Thanks,
Oh my
Mark.
goodness, that's a really good question.
It's a good question.
My degree definitely prepared me for my first role at Daisybeck, because I felt like I was more in the know due to my degree at Daisybeck, more in with the technical know as well. Although I'm in production and I don't necessarily pick up a camera, I do a lot of hiring kit, so I need to make sure I know what kind of kit is around, what kind of kit we're using, what kind of alternatives and substitutes they have, and I got that all from my degree. Otherwise I'd go in and be like a fish out of water and not really know what was what. Definitely the formats of call sheets and risk assessments, and definitely I learn from my degree basically how to be in production and how to know which documents need to be done, knowing how to be organised and keep up to date with things. And I got that all from uni, because I wouldn't say I was very organised beforehand.
I've only known you to be really organised, so that's really bizarre concept for me. I remember you marching around the media centre at Trinity with a clipboard.
I mean, you
I think it was
have a
my clipboard
clipboard.
to start with, and then I gave it, and then you were bossing me with it, and that's it. I've only ever seen you be really organised since then. Did you see how I just took credit for your whole career then in just one little swoop?
You can take credit from a whole career if you want. Fine.
No, I can't, and I'm not going to try. All right, Darren Harper. How hard is it getting work experience at the moment during COVID? Ooh, that's a good one.
So at the moment with COVID, we normally run at Daisybeck a work experience thing every year anyway, you know, Ali. However, with COVID, we've not been able to. We're all working from home still at the moment. With the new restrictions coming in place, TV and film actually aren't affected, which is good because it was the first time. So with us all working from home at the minute and not being in the office and the guys being on location, work experience for Daisybeck anyway at the minute and on the Yorkshire Vet isn't really a thing. But I would definitely email out to people and say, when is work experience starting up again? I've got a few emails for work experience on the back burner, which I'm going to get in contact with when it is a thing anyway. I'm assuming other companies have done the same thing. So I would always just email and double check, because other companies might be offering work experience at the moment.
And I would imagine that now we're all getting used to working sort of remotely. Maybe there would be chances to do sort of remote placements. I don't know if you have those opportunities, but maybe in the future that's something you could do. All right, let's do another question. Noah, what's it like starting on a show where you might not know much about the subject? That's a great question. Do you go out of your way to learn more before you begin?
This is such a great question because I am nowhere near farmer in the slightest, or someone who would enjoy veterinary work. Like, I could not even, I would probably pass out at my own blood before I started doing this.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I can watch a cow cesarean whilst eating my lunch. But anyway, so when I started at Daisybeck, I definitely did a bit of research on the shows. I knew about the Yorkshire Vet already. It was a show that I knew was very popular at Channel 5 and very popular with viewers. But I wouldn't necessarily say that I knew a lot about the subject. It's not something that I would necessarily watch more on TV than other things. So I don't think, as long as you know about the show and kind of how it works beforehand, you definitely do not need inside knowledge. You definitely do work more on the job and learn more on the job than you need to do beforehand. Like I said, I had no idea about farming, and now I feel like I could be a farmer's wife.
You don't have to be the farmer's wife, Charlotte. You can be the farmer.
I could be the farmer and I could be the vet.
Yeah, you could be a farm vet. You could be the next female Yorkshire vet, and then the next series is about you. There you go. Right, we have another question. What sort of opportunities are available in the industry? That's quite a broad one, I suppose. But can you give us an idea of, if you were trying to get into TV, where do you look? What could you do?
If I was trying to get into TV, I would definitely start off possibly trying to find runner opportunities. It's the best way to impress people in the industry. Running is such a good way for networking as well, because you're on set with all these different people, from floor managers to series producers to production managers to talent. Everyone's on set. So I'd say running is the best opportunity to get in and make such a good effort and an impression to everyone. The way that I'd probably go about trying to get a runner position at the moment is either ringing up different places and emailing and just seeing if they have any opportunities, and also going to networking events that might possibly, if it's, over Zoom or whatever other platforms available, you never know who you can meet on them, and that's what I try and do. I try and join the Facebook groups that are people looking into TV, and that's the way that I'd go, and I'd look for a runner's position.
Sorry, I learned on a bus. That sounds like great advice. Abby's back. This is a really good question, and something that I was hoping we would talk about anyway. What advice would you give to a first year student? So not someone who's necessarily about to jump into the industry, but who's just starting thinking about their career in the long term. What would you say to them?
What advice I would give to a first year student would be, completely take this year to learn what you enjoy. Learn kind of what you want to go into. Is it going to be editing? Is that your route? Do you want to pick up a camera? Are you better at organising and making sure your team's happy? Just trying to figure out where you kind of fit into the whole industry in itself. Another thing that I'd also advise in first year is do as many networking or volunteering opportunities as possible. The more you can get on your CV at the beginning to when you leave university, the better, because if you've got no experience, that's the next best thing that people look for.
Cool. So networking is something that you brought up a lot. So it's obviously really, really important to make those contacts, those connections. Come to things like this, make best friends with Charlotte, maybe make some other contacts. All right, Harry, I'd like to know, have you found your job as a production coordinator more difficult during the pandemic?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I've been very, very lucky to work through the entire pandemic. That's just because the Yorkshire Vet is a reoccurring, returning series, so we're filming constantly, and it was on the channel throughout the pandemic. So for me, I was really lucky. We had specials and 30-minute shows that they were doing, just to put stuff on TV because there was nothing really for anyone at this point. So I was really lucky, but it's definitely probably maybe not made it more difficult, but definitely made my workload more. Before we could just let the PDs go with the vets and film whatever they needed to do. Now we need to fill out filming protocols. We need to do self-declaration forms for the contributors and the crew, and they need to have the PPE kit, and we need to make sure all these certain things are in line even before they can go and film with someone. Obviously, local lockdowns, restrictions, different things in different places. We filmed the whole of North Yorkshire, and obviously certain places were worse than others, so they couldn't go in that house, so they'd have to figure out if they can film in the garden. And so there's a lot more planning and logistics than usual. So it wasn't necessarily more difficult, it was more the workload is more, and we can't get as much content as we would have liked before COVID was a thing.
Yeah, I think that's something that must be sector wide, and in every sector, I guess we're all trying to figure out how to navigate new restrictions, guidelines, but it's good that you're able to do it and still keep making stuff, and that you're still keeping going is really, really awesome. Oh, Beck Brooks, blast from the past. What would you say is the most challenging aspect of your job?
God, Becky with the hard questions. The most challenging aspect of my job, I feel like, is that you have to kind of make everyone happy to an extent. Everyone relies on you to be the yes woman, and it's really difficult in situations where you can't say yes. For example, with filming permission, they want to go and film in a certain place. The series producer wants you to get the shots from this certain place. You reach out to whoever owns that area and they say no. And then what do you do? And I've been in plenty of situations before where you just feel like you're in the middle and you can't, because they want a certain thing but they're not allowing you. So it's just trying to figure out a happy medium, but sometimes it can be really difficult, because who doesn't want to be the yes woman? I want to say yes to everyone.
Do you?
I do.
I'll put that as your quote after this interview. Noah Hoffman says, sorry, I'm laughing at my own joke. How did the acquisition of Daisybeck by E1 reshape the sort of content you produce, if at all? And what changes, if any, did the acquisition then have on your job? That's an awesome question.
Wow, that is amazing. So we was bought by E1 last year, summer last year. And basically it's not necessarily changed the type of programs that we've been doing. E1 was very specific with us that they didn't want to change what we were doing because they liked it so much. They liked that we were very much getting down to the people, and it's all about the people, and they didn't really want to change that as much. I think we've definitely got more opportunities as a company. We've definitely got more opportunities from E1 London. So anything that's filmed up north, like they've now got contact with us that we could possibly take on, and vice versa, stuff like that. So it's definitely opened days on to an amazing level, really. We're so lucky to have been bought out by such an amazing company that's made so many amazing films. Like whenever I see the E1 sign, I'm like, I work for that company. I haven't done anything on that, but I work for that company. And then as my role, it's not necessarily affected my role as a production coordinator. However, it's more changed the production managers and as finance managers roles, they've had to do certain things to comply with E1's policies and stuff like that. So it's affected their jobs more than mine.
Cool. Awesome. God, that was a great meaty question, wasn't it? We have another one from Damon Morgan. What advice do you have for working from home and staying motivated for any students that might be struggling during COVID? So have you been working from home a lot, Charlotte?
Yeah, so I work from home all the time. It's so hard to keep motivated. It's so hard. I think the thing that keeps me motivated is the job that I'm doing, and I enjoy it so much. Also, different coloured to-do lists is a great motivator. That's what I'll say. Also doing more little and often, I'd say as well. I think I always do a to-do list of the day, and I make sure that to-do list is done, regardless of what's on there. Obviously, with our jobs in the TV industry, working long hours and working late is a given most of the time. I never have a set 9-while-5 shift. It's whenever the jobs for that day need to be done, really. So I make sure, like I said, I've got different to-do lists, and to keep motivated, I make sure that my to-do list of that day is done before I even settle down.
Yeah. You must miss being in the office. I know I am used to working with people all day long, and then you get sat in a box or in your own home, and that's it. There's a little bit of that, working with
Oh
other
my God,
people that you lose, isn't there?
I miss the office so much. The TV industry is such a collaborative and creative industry who work better all together. And being from home and doing it over Zoom isn't as effective as we would all be in the office. And the office is just so much fun. It's such a nice environment. Everyone's so happy and upbeat because we all love what we're doing. And it's difficult when you're by yourself and you don't really have that, but we've just kept with regular meetings and coloured to-do lists and just trying to make the nation happy by delivering the Yorkshire Vet, really.
Lovely. It's working for me. Okay, last question from Abby. What is your job highlight? That's nice.
My job highlights have been working with amazing cute animals that I get to cuddle, e.g. the goat. Going to award ceremonies and being surrounded by amazing people that all work in your industry and your programme being up for awards. I never ever thought that would happen in a million years, but it's such a nice feeling to even be a part of that. Another major thing for me is seeing my name on the TV. I still get excited about that. My nana still records everything that my name's on.
That's lovely.
And another highlight is just being surrounded by so many amazing people. I work with people that have done things that I could only dream of, and I'm just lucky to be working with them, to be honest. I'm working on a show that does so well and that I'm so passionate about now.
That's really, really lovely. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there for today because we're just almost out of time. But thank you so much, Charlotte. This has been lovely.
Oh, I've loved
It's right cheered me up. I don't know about everybody else. I've had a lovely time. And it's great to hear that you love your job so much and that you've got such great advice for those who might be coming up to do, work with you next year or the year after. It is really, really awesome. We really appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you to everybody for watching. Thanks for your questions as well. They were absolutely great. Couldn't ask for better. I have to recommend the next session after hours, which is, I believe, at 3:00. It's Trans Representation in the Media with Gillian Brandstetter, who is co-founder of the Trans Journalists Association. So tune in for that because that's going to be another really, really amazing talk. Thanks again. I'm gonna let our amazing, magical, secret silent producer sign us off now. But happy Journalism and Media Week, and see you soon. Bye, Charlotte.
Bye.